You didn't arrive here by accident. Something in you has been listening beneath the noise, tracking a faint frequency most people never notice. Call it intuition, guidance, destiny, or simple readiness. Whatever name you choose, you can feel it right now. An unmistakable sense that the ordinary pattern is loosening, that the old loop can't hold you anymore. This is the moment the 0.1% signal becomes audible. You've spent years becoming fluent in effort, in proving, in trying to get reality to move. You've learned to push, to hustle, to bargain with time. And yet, the most important events in your life never arrived through force. They slipped in when you softened, when you stopped gripping the steering wheel and let something deeper take your hands. Breakthrough never comes because you wrestled the door open. It comes because you recognized the door was already ajar and you were finally willing to walk through. I'm inviting you to step through now. Not someday, not when the stars align or your bank account announces permission. Now, because what you've been calling delay has been preparation. What you thought was emptiness was gestation. The stillness you feared was the womb of your next life taking shape. You are standing at the event horizon of your own becoming. On one side is the familiar orbit of checking, refreshing, and needing proof. On the other side is the quiet confidence of receiving, the place where reality organizes around your coherence instead of your urgency. Crossing this threshold doesn't require a heroic leap. It asks for a subtler movement, the willingness to stop broadcasting desperation and start transmitting readiness. Readiness is not a posture, it's a frequency. It's the felt sense that you are no longer trying to get, but allowing yourself to receive what has long been orbiting you. Wanting energy reaches, grasps, and chases. Receiving energy opens, steadies, and welcomes. One contracts the field around you. The other invites it closer. If you're honest, you can feel the difference. Wanting has a hum that tightens your chest and narrows your vision. Receiving has a warmth that spreads through your body and widens your perspective. Wanting looks for evidence. Receiving becomes evidence. Wanting keeps you in tomorrow. Receiving moves tomorrow into now. Listen closely. The threshold isn't out there in your circumstances. It's in your identity. Who are you being as you move through this ordinary hour of your ordinary day? Are you the one begging the river to run, or the one who has finally remembered the river is already moving and has learned to float with it? The 0.1% signal is not louder than the world. It's steadier than it. It doesn't shout to get your attention. It whispers and it keeps whispering until you decide to match its calm. There's a point in every creation where possibilities gather like birds on a wire. You can sense them before you see them. They make the air feel different. The minutes feel charged. The mind calls this waiting. The soul calls it alignment. Most people confuse this pause for absence and rush to prove they're not foolish for believing. They look for signs, refresh their inbox, rehearse contingency plans, and in the commotion they collapse back into the very frequency that postpones the thing they're calling in. You won't do that anymore. You're learning the art of surrender, not as capitulation, but as participation in a larger intelligence, already moving on your behalf. Surrender is not giving up your desire. It is giving up your insistence on its form and timing. It is trading the small script of control for the far larger choreography you can feel, but cannot micromanage. Consider what has brought you here. Every choice to follow the quiet nudge instead of the loud fear. Every time you walked away from a version of yourself that would have been easier to keep. Every evening you sat with the ache and decided to trust anyway. Those moments were not detours, they were coordinates. They brought you to this exact seam in time where a new pattern is ready to lock in. Let's speak plainly. Your life changes when your identity changes. Not when you recite new thoughts while your body still broadcasts the old story. not when you visualize with your eyes closed and collapse into doubt when they open. Identity is the broadcast. Reality is the echo. When the broadcast stabilizes, the echo must reorganize to match it. So what stabilizes identity? Coherence, thought, feeling, and action, sending the same message again and again until your nervous system relaxes into a new normal. Coherence is the opposite of mixed signals. It's a deep yes that refuses to be rushed and refuses to be talked out of itself. It's the quiet knowledge. This is already mine in essence, and I am learning to let it arrive in form. You know this by feel. When you are coherent, you stop arguing with life. The need to monitor, to check, to make sure, drains out of you. You stop narrating your growth to convince yourself you're growing. You stop bargaining with time. Your language softens. You begin to say things like, I trust what's arranging itself. You begin to move like someone who has already been chosen by what they chose. The mind will object. It will ask for proof. It will reach for habits that kept you safe when safety meant staying small. Let the mind speak. Let the fear shake out of your hands. Coherence isn't the absence of old noise. It's the decision to stop giving it your microphone. There's a place in you untouched by the last decade's disappointments. There's a rhythm in you that never learned to panic. You've tasted it in brief flashes, on a morning walk when the world felt precise and generous for no reason, in a conversation that clicked your spine into alignment, in a choice that felt like it made you instead of you making it. Those moments were not random. They were broadcast tests. You were trying on the frequency you're now ready to live inside. Breathe with me, simply by remembering that breath is happening. No need to manage it. Just notice the top of the inhale, where everything pauses, then the bottom of the exhale, where everything pauses again. In those tiny still points, the old world takes its hands off you. In those pauses, your identity is most fluid, most available to choose. You don't need to force the pause to be longer. You don't need to make this mystical. Just notice there is a doorway 2 times in every breath, and doorways exist to be walked through. You have been taught to push your life across a finish line. I am offering you a different athleticism, the capacity to hold your frequency when nothing in the room has changed yet. This is what most people cannot do. They can feel good in a good moment, but they surrender the steering wheel at the first sign of weather. You are training for a steadier sport. You are becoming the kind of person whose inner climate organizes the outer one. Think of the stories you've told about yourself. I'm the one who always has to work twice as hard. I'm the one who almost gets there and then loses it. I'm the one who can sense big things but never quite receives them. You might have evidence for these tales, paragraphs and footnotes. Evidence is not destiny. Evidence is just the echo of a broadcast you didn't know you were sending. Change the broadcast and the library rewrites itself. So what does receiving look like on an ordinary afternoon? It looks like moving through your tasks with a pace that doesn't apologize for existing. It looks like answering messages with the tone of someone who belongs in the room. It looks like keeping your promises to yourself when no one is watching. It looks like choosing a sentence that expands you instead of one that shrinks you. It looks like noticing an old reflex to doubt and deciding to let it pass through without collecting rent. Receiving is a posture your body learns. Notice how often your shoulders tilt toward the future, as if lunging at it could make it arrive. Let them drop. Notice how your breath sits high and quick when you're trying to manage outcomes. Let it sink lower. You are not trying to trick the universe by pretending. You are reminding your body what your deeper self already knows. You are safe to be someone whose life opens. When you stop gripping, time behaves differently. You begin to feel the difference between human timing and perfect timing. Human timing is full of alarms and accusations. Perfect timing moves like weather over a mountain, sure of itself, unhurried, precise. You cannot bully perfect timing. You can learn to recognize its gait. You can learn to trust that when you don't get what you asked for, you are being positioned for what you actually asked for beneath the words. There is a joke the cosmos tells kindly. You will not outplan an intelligence that hangs galaxies on nothing. You are allowed to partner with it. Partnership sounds like this. I will choose my direction clearly, and I will stop insisting that the road be straight. I will keep my agreements with the present moment, and I will stop demanding that it be a different moment. I will hold my standards, and I will let the form surprise me. If you feel a tremor right now, that is the old scaffolding loosening. You are not losing yourself. You are losing the need to keep carrying a house that was meant to stand on its own. The part of you that believes control equals safety will try to tighten again. Meet it with patience. Meet it with a small smile that says, "Thank you for trying to protect me. I'm choosing a more skillful protector now." The 0.1% signal has always been present, a background hum beneath the sirens of urgency. It is the signal that says you don't have to convince the river to reflect the sky. You only have to wait until the wind settles. You are learning to be the settling. You are discovering how to be so coherent that circumstances have nothing left to push against. Objects move through air more easily than through water. Reality moves through a coherent person more easily than through a turbulent one. Let's remember the difference between evidence and permission. Evidence is what you notice when permission has already been given. Permission is what you give yourself before there is evidence. Most people are waiting for evidence to grant themselves permission to feel worthy, to act boldly, to speak clearly. You will reverse it. You will give yourself permission to live as the person you are calling in, and the world will present the evidence that matches your choice. This is not performance. This is integrity. Integrity means your inner state, your language, and your choices are in conversation with each other. Integrity is not perfection, it's consistency. When you wobble, and you will, you do not walk back your becoming. You simply return, again and again without drama. The return is the practice. The return is the miracle. The return is how identities rewire. You have likely tried to upgrade your life by upgrading your to-do list, but the list is downstream from the broadcast. You can add practices, read books, rehearse affirmations, and still transmit a frequency of not yet. The field responds to the broadcast, not the syllabus. Speak less about effort and more about essence. Ask yourself not what do I need to do to prove this is coming, but who do I need to be to receive what has already arrived in essence. What does that person know? They know that gratitude is not a bargain chip. It is a recognition signal. I live in a generous reality, and I am available to be surprised. They know that doubt is not an enemy to be strangled, but a weather pattern to be witnessed. They know that intimacy with their own breath is more effective than an hour of frenzied checking. They know that the body tells the truth first, and so they listen for tightness, for ease, for the orientation of their chest toward or away from life. You might be wondering whether it's naive to relax into receiving when the world insists on urgency. The urgency is a costume. The essentials have always moved at the pace of wisdom. Consider a seed. Consider a sunrise. Consider the way someone you love forgives you slowly and then all at once. Nothing important is improved by panic. Everything important is improved by presence. Your presence is the unhurried instrument through which reality plays its best music. There is a flavor of courage that doesn't look like a shout. It looks like staying open when it would be reasonable to close. It looks like keeping an appointment with your future self even when no one would know you canceled it. It looks like speaking kindly to your uncertainty instead of weaponizing it against yourself. It looks like telling the truth about what you want and then letting go of the script about how it must arrive. If you could hear your future self right now, the one already standing where you hope to stand, they would not give you a map with 37 steps. They would give you a single sentence. Keep choosing me. Choose me when your phone is quiet. Choose me when the invoice is delayed. Choose me when an old habit begs for one more spin. Choose me in the tiny moments when no one is watching, because that is when the broadcast is clearest. Miracles, when they happen, will not feel like a trick played on physics. They will feel like familiarity. They will feel like a friend finally arriving whose presence you've been preparing a room for. You've been laying out the linens, airing the windows, arranging the flowers, and when the knock comes, you will not panic about whether you are worthy to open the door. You will smile because you have been living as the kind of person who expects guests. You may be tempted to imagine that receiving means you will never again encounter weather. Weather is not a failure of climate. Storms pass more quickly through landscapes that are cared for. Your coherence is how you care for your inner landscape. On a day when clouds stack heavy, you will not ask whether the sun has ceased to exist. You will remember where it lives. You will remember that it often feels brightest after rain has washed the air. Notice what has already shifted in the short time we've been together. The part of you that was straining has softened by a few degrees. The part that believed the door was locked has realized the handle turns. The part that asked for a sign has realized it is a sign. This is not an accident. Your attention is the most sacred resource you own, and you have just pointed it toward a kinder gravity. From here, you do not need to announce your transformation to anyone. People will feel it before they understand it. They will speak to you differently. Invitations will appear that match what you've been quietly practicing. Opportunities will surprise you by arriving through corridors you didn't even know were connected to your house. None of this is a reward for having the right words. It is a response to having the right signal. There will be moments when the old world tries to draft you back into its pace. It will offer you the comfort of familiar discomfort. It will whisper that certainty lives in spreadsheets and that control lives in worry. Smile at it. Thank it for the years it tried to keep you safe. Then decline the invitation and return to the frequency that brought you here. Safety is not a narrow hallway with locked doors. Safety is a wide room with windows you can open. Consider how you will move through the next ordinary scene, walking to the kitchen, answering a message, stepping outside. Bring with you the smallest possible proof that you belong in the life you are calling in. A sentence that tastes like trust, a breath that feels like space, a posture that says, I am not rushing. These tiny choices, repeated without spectacle, are how mountains shift. Reality does not need grand gestures to reorganize. It needs consistency. And consistency is simpler than you've been told. It's not a perfect streak. It's the willingness to resume. When you lose the thread, and you will, you do not dramatize the loss. You pick it up again and again until picking it up is who you are. The thread grows stronger each time you return. What used to require concentration will become background music. What used to feel like an ambition will feel like hygiene. You are not trying to deserve what is next. You are acclimating to it. Acclimation is gentler than achievement. It respects seasons. It lets the body catch up to the soul. It replaces the adrenaline of striving with the tenacity of steadiness. It is kinder to your nervous system, and it produces changes that last because they are not grafted on top of resistance. They grow from inside your yes. Notice the paradoxes that keep you honest. The less you demand, the more you receive. The more you relax, the more precisely you act. The quieter you are inside, the more clearly you are heard. These are not tricks. They are the physics of coherence. You are practicing them now without having to try. The trying was always the loudest interference in the signal. The trying can rest. When doubts arise, let them be weather. When excitement surges, let it be weather. Don't build houses out of passing clouds. Build houses out of devotion. Devotion to your frequency. Devotion to your return. Devotion to the version of you who knew long before you had language for it that life was never against you. It was only waiting for you to stop arguing. The 0.1% signal is not for special people. It is for anyone willing to be simple enough to hear it, steady enough to trust it, and brave enough to keep choosing it when nothing obvious is happening. You are that person now, not because I said so, but because something in you nodded the moment you heard those words. Take one more easy breath. Let the body register that it is safe to carry less. Let your shoulders learn a new gravity. Let your chest remember how it feels to be a door instead of a barricade. Let your mind notice that it can rest without losing relevance. Let your life consider how many ways it might surprise you when you stop over-managing the surprises. From this place, you don't need to ask when. You don't need to ask how. Those questions belong to a smaller room. You are standing in a larger one. In this room, you remember that your desires are not outside your life knocking to be let in. They are inside your life asking to be noticed. In this room, timing feels like a friend instead of a judge. In this room, love is not a transaction. It is the climate. You are ready to step through because you have already stepped through. The threshold was never a line on the ground. It was the moment you stopped needing permission to be who you are. That moment is now. Let the world find you at this frequency. Let the invitations recognize you. Let the evidence assemble in ways that save you from the smallness you practiced out of habit. You will leave this space and walk back into rooms that still remember your previous broadcast. You will be tempted to dim. Don't. Your presence does not take anything from anyone. Coherence is contagious. Calm is generous. Your steadiness is a service. Let it do its quiet work on the rooms you enter. Let it rearrange the conversations. Let it collect the people who have been waiting for someone to go first. When you forget, return. When you panic, soften. When you ache, let the ache be proof you are alive enough to be changed. When you are offered fear in a convincing costume, ask it what it is trying to protect and thank it for its labor. Then choose what serves you now. You are not here to chase signs. You are here to become one. You are not here to beg reality to love you back. You are here to remember that it already does. You are not here to perform worthiness. You are here to rest in it. You are not here to wrestle a door. You are here to notice it is open. Keep choosing the frequency that feels like home. Keep trusting the timing that loves you enough to be exact. Keep moving like someone who has been chosen by what they chose. Let this be the day you stop asking whether you're allowed to become yourself. Let this be the hour you realize permission is an inside job. Let this be the minute you translate belief into being. The 0.1% signal is calling. Not loudly, not with fireworks, with a tone you recognize in your bones. Answer it by living as the one who already crossed. Answer it by slowing your breath until your body remembers it is safe. Answer it by letting your language behave like a key instead of a complaint. Answer it by resting your hands in your lap for a moment longer than is comfortable and discovering that the world keeps spinning without your strain. You are ready. Not because you have all the evidence, but because you are willing to be the evidence. Not because you have mastered stillness, but because you are learning to let stillness master you. Not because you never wobble, but because you return when you do. This is how lives change. Not with spectacle, but with 1,000 quiet permissions that accumulate until reality has no choice but to agree. Walk on. The path is a spiral. You are not circling the same ground. You are rising through familiar scenery at a new altitude. What felt like repetition is revelation. What felt like delay is choreography. What felt like silence is music you can finally hear. Keep listening. Keep rising. Keep receiving. The threshold is behind you now, and also beneath every step you take. That's the nature of thresholds when you learn to live as the one who has already crossed.